Okay guys, I thought I'd do a video on my take on the ultimate shit hit the fan scenario type handgun. Okay, this is my opinion. Alright, I like to make the example of chili. Every guy makes chili differently. This is my recipe. I'm going to go over why. Alright, you might have a different opinion. Maybe you have a different recipe. This is my recipe. There's several things to look at when you're choosing a handgun for a shit at the fan scenario or a WROL. In this case, I'm not choosing my higher end HK. Right? In my opinion, the HK, of course it's higher end, it's more reliable, and it's a 45, it's got a beefier round. Right? But I'd go with the Glock 17, and I'm going to go over why. Now, there's a couple things, like I said. You need to have a reliable handgun. No jam-o-matics. Something, a decent handgun. Reliable handgun. You need a handgun in a popular caliber so you can find ammo. Because you can only carry so much, and ammo is going to run out. And you need to plan to carry stuff. Vehicles break down, something might go wrong, you might have to run out, and you never know. So plan on carrying. And there's only so much you can carry, so you need to be able to find more, replenish it. Right? So that's my opinion there. It also has to be a popular make and model. So parts and magazines are easy to find. You can start to see why I'm choosing one over the other here, if you're getting this. A simple design with fewer parts, that means less things can go wrong. I'm not saying the Glock is the best handgun because I have a Glock. I went out and I got a Glock because I thought it was the best way to go. Right? Now, let's go over this here, and I'll go over why here. This HK cost me nearly double what the Glock did. And that was before all the upgrades. Right? It's a larger caliber, it's more reliable. This is what Navy SEALs and Special Forces and shit use. Right? When they come out of salt water and all kinds of different temperatures and all kinds of different, in different environments. Extreme conditions. This is what they buy. Of course, there's some 9mm, there's some 1911s out there, yes, and SIG, yes. But HK is heavily used with Special Forces men. So, it's a good gun. But the problem is, it's not a popular handgun. So if something breaks down, I'm not going to be able to get replacement parts. I'm not going to be able to get replacement magazines. That's one of the drawbacks here. This guy, very popular. I can get parts. I can get magazines. That's one reason I chose the Glock as, the ultimate shit at the fan handgun. For me, anyway. Caliber. I used to believe that 9, 40, and 45 were pretty close, all popular calibers. However, after the ammo scare, I learned that 9mm is much more popular. It disappeared off the shelves in less than 2 weeks. It was gone. It was wiped out. 40 and 45 started disappearing later. It was probably a month, something like that, before it really started taking a hit. People couldn't find 9, so they went and started buying 40 and 45, which I recommended against. If you watch that old video, should you buy a 9mm or another caliber? I said, just get the 9mm. When things go back to normal, it's a caliber you can still afford to shoot. And as we can see, that's happened. I was correct, I believe. Or hell, I was correct. You look at a box of 40 and 45 compared to the 9. If you went out and you got a 9, like I said, you can afford to go out and shoot. If you got the 40 and 45, hey, I like this thing, but it really hits my wallet pretty hard. A box is kind of expensive, $30 or so. For cheap stuff sometimes. On 45. Right? So 9mm. If everybody was hoarding 9mm, if everybody went out and bought it, that means it's going to be out there, right? You can trade, you can barter for 9mm if your neighbor has it. You can't go and trade anything in exchange for magic beans from your neighbor because he doesn't have magic beans, okay? If he doesn't have 45, you can't get 45. If he doesn't have 40, you can't get 40. If he doesn't have 9mm, you can't get 9mm. But the odds are, if he has a gun, you know, I guess after 22, most likely he or she would have a 9mm. So you would be able to replenish popular round, right? Popular caliber. You could get ammo for this guy when maybe not so much this, because so many people load up on 9mm. Okay, that is another one. Let's say, I mean, just crazy ass. Let's say Walking Dead. If that happened, if there were zombies and stuff, if they broke into most houses, what do you think they're gonna find? Well, if everybody was hoarding 9mm, they probably have 9mm, right? If you're the last person on earth and everybody just vanished, you know, you go into houses. What are you gonna most likely find? You probably won't need it in that case, but you know, you probably find 9mm. The more people go after it, the more it's gonna be out there in people's homes. Right? I've heard videos where people say the opposite. You know, hey, you can get a 40 caliber, you can get a 45 and 40. You could buy it during the ammo scare. It was still out there, so you want to get that caliber. Hell no. They are totally wrong. Totally wrong. When shit hits the fan, you don't want to be out there buying ammunition. You want to have ammunition at home. Right? You're sitting on that shit. You already got an ammo can full. You don't go out looking for ammunition in a panic. There's people saying that was a shit at the fan scenario. That was an example, so we saw what happened. Yeah, we saw what happened. You see what you want. Hey, look, that's going to be there. If you thought that guns would be outlawed, well, guess what? You know, you think you're going to be able to buy that? You think you're going to be able to rush to the store and get that stuff if everybody's already after it? No, you need to have it at home, and one that you can afford to stock up on. One that you can barter for later, right? When shit happens, you don't want to be out looking for ammunition. You want to have it ahead of time. So, what else is there? Popularity, again. There's lots of good. Now we got it down, in my opinion, 9's the caliber to go to. That's the go-to caliber. Now, make and model. You need something popular. Yes. Beretta, that's popular. Taurus, that's popular. M&P, that's popular. But Glocks, you got, what is it, like 40% of the police and military use Glocks. So that's going to be a big chunk of out there of the armed population with a Glock, right? And then civilians buy Glocks like crazy. There's probably a Glock in every neighborhood, you know, unless you live in some shithole commie state. Odds are there's probably a Glock on every block. And the most popular caliber, as I see it from the ammo scare, 9mm. So that'd be a safe bet. You know, and Glocks are basically the AK of the handgun world, man. Reliable, simple, right? So you can only carry so much ammo, but you could probably replenish it later. There's guys that say they're going to carry 5,000 rounds of ammo. Yeah, right, man. You know, what you need to do, if you're one of those guys, you put on a weight vest and you put sand in a backpack and you go running with that. Okay? I do that. That, man, you know, I thought I was going to die the first couple times I tried that. Right? You go out and try it. And there's other guys that, you know what, I'm just going to load this into a truck. Well, you know, if you got shitloads of ammo and all this other stuff in a truck, you know, you're going to burn a shitload of fuel. And yeah, you can stock up a shitload of fuel, but that adds more weight, which burns up more fuel. And then what if the vehicle breaks down? You have to plan travel on foot. So you're going to want something light, reliable, and popular caliber where you can get parts, ammo, everything. You know, you can probably find it out there. Now, this is a Gen 4. Why did I go with Gen 4 over Gen 3? Well, I remember there was some problems, there was some issues with the Gen 4s when they first came out. I did some research and I found out It was not the recoil spring. It was the extractor. They used non-Glock extractors. There were mold injection, I forget, MIM something, non-Glock extractors for the Gen 4s and the Gen 3s that came out at that time. Right? So it was much cheaper just to send out weaker recoil springs, because you need a Glock armor to do the extractor. It was a much cheaper solution, and the weaker spring compensated. But that issue was solved, so that's why we have a Gen 4 here. Now let's get into this. And I always keep a dummy round in there. Okay, so this guy, you can see I did a couple mods to it, right? Pretty simple mods. First off, I did a extended magazine release. I got smaller hands, so I had to kind of hop it back and forth to unload a magazine. With the extended magazine release, not so much. And then the other thing is the extended slide release. Man, that little pyramid right there really makes a big difference. Really big difference, especially if your hands are kind of sweaty. Right? Easy to do. I remember I dropped this sucker and I cracked, I forget, one of the sights. It's been so long ago. So I replaced them with basically 3-dot iron sights. I can't use Glock sights for shit. So anyway, that's what I did there. Now, let me show you something here on the inside. I've done this forever. What do we have here? A Gen 4 with a Gen 3 recoil spring. Right? People are going to say, why in the hell did you do that? Well, you see, this Gen 4 can now take Gen 1, Gen 2, and Gen 3 recoil springs. And this is a steel one, so it probably won't mess up. Probably won't break down. And then, if I just pop this little attachment off, this weighs nothing. It's like a button. Then I can put Gen 4 spring in there. Right? So I can use 1, 2, 3, or 4 recoil springs. Again, hey, just in case something breaks down. Reliable, simple, but you never know, right? It's part of thinking ahead. Anyway, actually, this is the wife's. Mine has a beaver tail on it. Other than that, they're exactly the same. But yeah. Anyway, that is my recipe. Let me know what you guys think about that. I'm sure you're going to have different opinions. Anyway, that's my opinion, guys. Take it, leave it. Hopefully this helps. Hopefully some of y'all learned something. Alright?